You were never the problem child. That was the problem. You were the one they didn't have to worry about. The one who could sit quietly in the back seat while everyone else was having a meltdown. The one who did their homework without being reminded. The one who noticed when the room felt tense and somehow knew not to add anything to it. You were easy, and everybody said it like it was a compliment. Maybe your parents said, "Thank God, at least one of my kids doesn't give me stress." Maybe relatives called you mature, teachers called you responsible. Other parents used you as an example. You learned that being calm made adults proud, being helpful made them soften, being low maintenance made you less likely to be criticized. So you became very, very good at needing almost nothing. And the confusing part is, it probably worked. That's why it is so hard to untangle now. You weren't pretending for no reason. Being easy gave you a place in the family. It made you useful. It made you safe. In some homes, the loud child gets punished. The emotional child gets mocked. The needy child gets called dramatic. The angry child gets sent away. So the sensitive child watches all of that and makes a quiet decision. Don't be too much. Don't interrupt. Don't make anyone's day harder. Don't give them another reason to sigh. This is where the easy child starts disappearing in plain sight. Because from the outside, it looks like peace. A child who doesn't complain. A teenager who handles things alone. A young adult who says, "No worries," before anyone even asks them how they feel. But inside, something else is happening. The child is not becoming peaceful. The child is becoming unreadable. And nobody notices, because the family has already assigned the role. That one is fine. That one understands. That one can handle it. That one has always been independent. It sounds harmless, until you realize children are not supposed to be independent in the way adults mean it. Children are supposed to gradually become capable while still having somewhere soft to fall apart. They are supposed to explore the world and then come back to a person who can help them make sense of what they felt. But the easy child often becomes their own safe place way too early. You might have been the kid who could tell when your mother was in a mood before she said a word. You could hear the difference between tired footsteps and angry footsteps. You knew when to ask for something and when to swallow it. You knew when money was tight, when your parents were fighting, when your sibling was about to explode, when the whole house was one wrong sentence away from becoming uncomfortable. So you became smaller, not physically, emotionally. You took up less space. And this is the part people misunderstand. Being the easy child does not always mean you were ignored because nobody loved you. Sometimes you were loved. Sometimes your parents were trying. Sometimes they were exhausted, overwhelmed, stretched thin, carrying their own childhoods in bodies that never learned how to rest. But love and emotional availability are not the same thing. A parent can love you and still not know how to notice the version of you that learned to hide. That is why this wound can feel so hard to explain, because nothing dramatic had to happen. Maybe there was food in the fridge. Maybe you had school supplies, birthday cakes, rides to practice, family vacations, decent photos on the wall. Maybe from the outside your childhood looked normal. And when you try to talk about it, even to yourself, some part of you says, "Stop being ungrateful." Your body remembers being praised for not crying. Your body remembers walking into a room and scanning everyone's mood before deciding who you were allowed to be. Your body remembers the tiny embarrassment of having a need, the heat in your face when you had to ask for help, the panic of disappointing someone, the strange guilt of resting while someone else was stressed, the way you could comfort everybody but had no idea how to let anybody comfort you. Psychologists talk about parentification when a child is pushed into adult-like roles too early. But the easy child version can be quiet. It is not always a child cooking dinner every night or raising younger siblings, although that happens too. Sometimes it is emotional. You become the listener, the stabilizer, the kid who does not burden the parent because the parent already seems burdened by life. You become the one who understands adult problems before you have the language for your own. Maybe you were your mother's little therapist. Maybe your father vented to you because you were so mature. Maybe you knew too much about the marriage, the bills, the family secrets, the disappointment your parents had in each other. Or maybe nobody told you anything directly, but you still carried it. Children are incredibly good at reading the emotional weather in a home, especially when the weather determines whether they can relax. And after a while, being easy stops feeling like something you do and starts feeling like who you are. You become the friend who doesn't choose the restaurant, the partner who says, "I'm good with whatever," even when you are not. The employee who takes on extra work because saying no feels like causing trouble. The sibling who gets called selfish the one time you finally set a boundary, because everyone got used to you not having any. That is the dark side. Not that you were kind, not that you were responsible, not that you cared. Those parts of you may be real and beautiful. The dark side is that your goodness may have been mixed with fear. Your helpfulness may have been mixed with survival. Your maturity may have been partly grief wearing a clean shirt. Because the easy child often learns a very specific kind of math. If I have fewer needs, I receive more approval. If I am useful, I am safer. If I stay calm, people stay close. If I ask for too much, I become a problem. And once that equation settles into your nervous system, adulthood becomes exhausting in ways you cannot easily name. You may not even know what you want until someone else tells you what they want first. You may feel irritated when people ask, "What do you need?" Because the honest answer is, "I don't know. Nobody really asked me that when it mattered." You may confuse peace with emotional distance. You may choose relationships where you are needed more than you are known. You may feel deeply uncomfortable around people who are warm, consistent, and direct, because part of you is waiting for the hidden cost. And then there is the anger that scares you because it does not match the identity you built. Easy children are not supposed to be angry. They are supposed to be understanding, reasonable, forgiving, emotionally convenient. So when anger finally arrives, it can feel like you are becoming a bad person. But sometimes anger is not proof that you are cruel. Sometimes anger is the first honest emotion after years of self-erasure. You are not angry because you wanted a perfect childhood. You are angry because everyone clapped when you abandoned yourself. You are angry because they called it maturity when it was loneliness. You are angry because the family needed someone to be okay, and you were volunteered before you even knew what okay meant. And grief comes right behind it. Because once you see the role clearly, you start noticing all the moments you missed. The birthday where you said you didn't care what cake you got. The school trip you didn't mention because money was already tense. The night you cried quietly because someone else's pain took up the whole house. The times you were proud of being strong, when really, you should have been held. Before we go deeper, this is the kind of childhood pattern this channel is here to name. The stuff people minimize because it was quiet. The pain that doesn't always sound dramatic, but still shaped how you love, ask, rest, and trust. So stay with this, because sometimes the most healing sentence is not, "My childhood was terrible." Sometimes it is, "I adapted to something I should not have had to adapt to." The easy child often becomes an adult with two selves. There is the public self, capable, pleasant, flexible, emotionally controlled. And then there is the hidden self, tired, resentful, unsure, hungry for care, but embarrassed by the hunger. The public self gets rewarded, the hidden self gets postponed, and eventually, you start wondering why your life looks functional but feels so lonely. This is why compliments can feel complicated. Someone says, "You're so easy to be around," and a part of you feels proud. Another part of you feels grief. Because being easy has cost you things. It has cost you preferences. It has cost you honest conversations. It has cost you the ability to be inconvenient and still feel lovable. It has cost you the experience of finding out who stays when you stop performing calmness. There is a difference between being easy because you are secure and being easy because you are afraid. Secure ease sounds like, "I can be flexible because my needs matter too." Survival ease sounds like, "I can be flexible because my needs are dangerous." Secure ease lets you compromise without disappearing. Survival ease makes you disappear and then call it compromise. And this is where healing gets uncomfortable. Because healing for the easy child is not just learning to speak up, it is surviving the feeling that comes after speaking up. The guilt, the shakiness, the fear that you have ruined everything, the urge to over-explain, the need to soften your own boundary so nobody feels bad, the apology sitting on your tongue even when you did nothing wrong. At first, having needs may feel rude, choosing may feel selfish, saying, "I don't want that," may feel like betrayal, resting may feel lazy, asking for reassurance may feel childish. But those feelings are not always moral truth. Sometimes they are old family rules echoing through an adult body. You do not have to become loud to heal. You do not have to become harsh. You do not have to swing from self-abandonment into cruelty just to prove you matter. The goal is not to become difficult for the sake of being difficult. The goal is to become honest. Honest enough to notice when you are saying yes out of fear. Honest enough to admit when you are tired. Honest enough to stop calling yourself low maintenance when you are actually emotionally underfed. Maybe healing starts with tiny acts of inconvenience. Saying what food you actually want. Letting a text sit for an hour because you are resting. Telling someone, "I can't take that on." Admitting, "That hurt me," without immediately comforting the other person for hurting you. Asking a friend, "Can I talk about something heavy?" instead of deciding in advance that you are too much. And yes, some people may not like it, especially people who benefited from the old version of you. When the easy child stops being easy, family systems can get confused. They may call you sensitive, dramatic, distant, changed. They may say, "You never used to be like this," and they might be right. You never used to be this honest. You never used to let yourself be visible enough to disappoint them. But disappointment is not always danger. Conflict is not always abandonment. A need is not an attack. A boundary is not a punishment. These are things the easy child may have to learn slowly, not as slogans, but as lived experiences. You learn them by telling the truth and noticing that you survive. You learn them by letting safe people care about your preferences. You learn them by allowing a relationship to include your weight, not just your usefulness. And maybe the most painful part is realizing you were never actually easy. You were working, constantly, reading faces, managing tone, predicting reactions, editing yourself, carrying the emotional temperature of rooms you never controlled. That is not ease, that is labor. Quiet labor, but labor. So no, this is not about blaming your parents forever. It is not about pretending they had no struggles, no wounds, no context, no humanity. But understanding them cannot require abandoning yourself again. You can have compassion for what they carried and still tell the truth about what got handed to you. You can say, "They did their best," and also say, "Their best left me alone with things a child should not have had to hold." The easy child does not heal by proving they had it worse than anyone else. You do not need a courtroom. You do not need perfect evidence. You do not need every family member to agree with your version of events. Your patterns are evidence. Your panic around needs is evidence. Your exhaustion from being agreeable is evidence. Your resentment is evidence that some part of you has been waiting a long time to be included in your own life. And maybe that is the invitation now. Not to become a completely different person, but to stop confusing disappearance with goodness. To stop measuring your worth by how little trouble you cause. To stop treating your needs like unexpected bills everyone will resent paying. To let yourself be a person, not just a relief. Because you were not born to be the child who needed nothing. You were trained, slowly, to need quietly. And now, slowly, you can unlearn it. You can practice wanting things. You can practice being held. You can practice letting someone be disappointed without rushing to fix their feelings. You can practice saying, "Actually, I do need something," and letting the sentence exist without apologizing for it. If you were the easy child, your healing may not look dramatic from the outside. It may look like ordering what you want, asking for help before you collapse, letting yourself cry without turning it into a joke, saying no and not sending a paragraph afterward, letting love become something you receive, not something you earn by being convenient. And if this spoke to the part of you that has always been fine, subscribe. This channel is for the people who are finally unpacking the family roles they were praised for surviving. You were never too sensitive for noticing what happened. You were never selfish for wanting care. And you were never meant to disappear just because disappearing made life easier for everyone else.